Today we're making sourdough bread, fresh melt flour, by hand. What you're gonna need is a 2.5 quart Pyrex bowl, a Danish dough whisk, your grains, 400 grams of either hard white, hard red, or 300 grams of either one of those, plus 100 grams of Kamut or Khorasan or durum. And what you want to do is mill 400 grams of flour. Then we're going to add 320 grams of cold water, I used tap water, to the bowl, and 8 grams of sea salt, which is 2% of the flour. Next, we're going to add lemon juice. You don't have to add lemon juice to your bread, but it will make it more flexible after the bread has baked. And I like to use the same amount as I do the salt. So I'm going for 8 grams. There we go, we've got 8 grams of lemon juice. All right, the next thing we want to add is our sourdough starter. I'm going to use anywhere between 10% of the flour, which would be 40 grams, to 30% of the flour, which would be 120 grams of sourdough starter. Why the range? Well, in the summertime, you're going to need less starter, or if your kitchen's very hot, you're going to need less starter to get the bread risen in the same timeline as if you would in the winter, where you may need more starter to get it to hit your same timeline. So playing with that range to get your bread to rise in the time frame that you would like, that's why there's a range. And since it's summer and it's a little warmer in our kitchen, 72 degrees, I'm going to use approximately 40 grams of sourdough starter. That said, if I go over, I'm not worrying about it. I pay more attention to the dough than anything else. So I'm just going to take a plop here. Okay, I'm at 117. So I'm actually kind of on the higher end. Okay, 120 would be 30%. So my bread is likely to go through the fermentation process faster because I'm using more starter than it would if I used 40 grams. Okay, we can mix that up a little bit with our Danish dough whisk. Okay. And then we're going to add the flour. I should also note that the starter that I'm using is called a stiff starter. I have a separate article all on that, but when I feed my sourdough starter, I feed it 2 parts flour and a little bit over 1 part water. I do not feed it equal parts flour and water, and that's why this works the way that it does. If you try to do this with a sourdough starter that's fed equal parts flour and water, you might have a mess on your hands. Okay, so we now have all the ingredients that we need for our bread. So we're going to turn off the scale.